Star Trek. They just keep rolling with new stuff. And, think we will about a lot of the things. Their current series, well, at least what I'll call their current series, Star Trek, what's it called again?
The Kelvin Universe.
No. The new series with Pike.
Strange New World.
Strange New World.
Yeah. What's that, Discovery?
Is my favorite Star Trek series since Star Trek The Next Generation. Star Trek The Next Generation is still my favorite. But since then, Strange New Worlds has been my next favorite. I've absolutely loved it. And they've had some hit and misses, whatever. And we found out a little while ago that the film franchise, that they were finally, at least they say, going to make a fourth film in that franchise. Now, I thought the last one, Part 3, didn't do so great at the box office. I think that was a direct consequence of how underperforming and underwhelming Part 2 was. But I really liked Part 3. I think Simon Pegg was one of the writers of Part 3. Like that a lot. Looking forward to seeing it come again. Well, apparently, according to Deadline, not only are they still moving full speed ahead on Part 4, but they're also developing a prequel movie. This comes to us from Deadline, who said the following. The studio has tapped Toby Haynes. For those of you who don't know, he kind of did that Star Trek episode of, what's that?
USS Callister of Black Mirror.
Of Black Mirror, right, which got a lot of people excited. The studio has tapped Toby Haynes to direct the new film that expands on the Star Trek universe, with Seth Grahame-Smith penning the script. J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot is producing. Sources tell Deadline that while plot details are being kept under wraps, the project is an origin story that takes place decades before the 2009 Star Trek film that rebooted the franchise. Insiders add that the final chapter in that main series, Star Trek IV, remains in active development. So they say that's still happening, but it sounds like they're going to take a shot at a prequel. Okay, let's get Star Trek IV out of the way for a second. I like this cast, although I'm sure it's becoming an expensive cast, but still, I like this cast very much. I like the tone and the feel. Some of the films have been better than others, but I like the tone and the feel. I've been really wanting to see a Part 4, and I like the fact that they're calling it the final chapter, so they know they're going to make this as the final one. So I'm looking forward to that. The idea of a prequel is interesting to me because I have a hate-hate relationship with prequels. I don't like the idea of prequels in general, right? Not that there haven't been prequel stories that I haven't enjoyed. There have been. There have been exceptions. But in generally, just philosophically, I like stories moving forward, not backwards. That being said, the origins of Starfleet have really remained a very, very untapped thing in the Star Trek. I mean, yeah, you had that one Star Trek movie where they, First Contact, where they first broke warp and the Vulcans show up at the end. Okay, yeah, but that's a moment. Yeah, you had Star Trek Enterprise, the series that kind of delved into the formation of the Federation.
That was Scott Bakula, right?
That was the Scott Bakula one. I'll be honest with you, probably my least favorite of the Star Trek series, but it definitely had its upsides too. But still, like the actual origins of the Enterprise and that whole thing, that is just really something that has not been covered in on-screen stuff, and it could be interesting. Interesting if it doesn't deal with 12-year-old Jim Kirk and his buddy, 14-year-old Bones McCoy.
Getting into mischief.
Like the little rascals getting off into mischief, tinkering on starships. As long as they don't do that, if it's a totally different group of characters, it could be interesting. It could be, in theory. It depends on what the idea is. I really like the names attached to it. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. On average, it takes about 30 days for a person to break their New Year's resolution. So if saving money was on your 2024 list, your odds aren't looking that great. Luckily, I have a 100% guaranteed way to save you money this year. Just switch to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month. I've told you guys many times that after switching to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than a third on my cell bill than I used to with a major carrier. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All Mint plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And don't worry about having to change phones or numbers. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So guys, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bills to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. What do you think in principle about the idea of going back and telling kind of like an origin story, if you will?
Well, Star Trek Enterprise is a prequel. Star Trek Discovery is a prequel. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is a prequel. And Star Trek 09, which is the first of the J.J. verse Kelvin movies, is also a prequel because you see the Kelvin where George Kirk, Kirk's father, is killed in the beginning, right. And then it jumps forward 25 years. And you even see young Kirk rip off a car and drive it off a cliff in a quarry in Iowa or wherever. So, well, I read this announcement, John, and I was perplexed, to be honest. I'm like, okay, so it says this takes place a few decades before Star Trek 09. Well, a few decades before Star Trek 09's, the majority of that movie takes place, is the beginning of Star Trek 09. Because it's 25 years before Jim Kirk gets old enough. We see his birth, and then we see him in his mid-20s when he joins Starfleet. So I'm asking myself, and if you go, say, 25 years before that, that's about 50 years after the Federation's formed. So I'm like, what is this movie? Like, what is it the origins of? Like you said, the formation of Starfleet or the formation of the Constitution-class ships or whatever could be interesting to delve into. But I feel that, one of the strengths of the Next Generation era, Next Generation took place roughly 80 years after the original series. And it moved forward for the 18 years of the Berman-era Trek. You had Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Those all moved forward. It carried the franchise forward, really interesting. You saw various aspects. And while Discovery has leapt 1,000 years into the future and Star Trek Picard Season 3 takes place later and Lower Decks takes place later, it would be nice to see Star Trek move forward. And I don't understand why Star Trek as a franchise keeps doing prequels. Like, we've been seeing prequels since 2001 when Enterprise debuted.
Maybe they feel it's more like we can relate to it because it's closer to our time frame.
I know, but it's such a weird thing because, look, Rogue One I thought was a great prequel because it had a new story. Andor, in a way, is showing us the beginning of the rebellion. Things like that can work. And if they did something like that, I think maybe it would be interesting. And I do like, but the writer they've hired has done like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. And
he's done some good stuff too, though. You just cherry picked the worst thing on his resume.
You cherry.
Well, that was a novel.
Oh.
It was a novel. He's a novelist.
Maybe they could do something like.
Look, Hope Springs Eternal. I always want Star Trek to be good.
Maybe they could do something along the lines of God. I'm not comparing it to Godfather 2, but in terms of it's a prequel and it connects to going forward too. So
you know what
that happened there in the same film are affecting.
I like the way you think. If they did a Godfather 2 version of Star Trek, I'm all in. How great would that be?
You're all in anyways, no matter what they
Am I?
bring out.
No.
I think so.
Listen, he's all in with my idea. You stay out of this. Let's keep talking.
By the way, I also want to point out the same guy also wrote the Lego Batman movie, which I think
he was one of the writers.
Oh yeah, he was one of the writers in that, which I thought he was the one who did the story of the movie, though.
Yeah.
So I love that. As bad as Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was based on the book, I thought Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies was actually really good. I had a lot of fun with that. Pardon me. But yes, he is also the one who did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which is just terrible. But everything he's done after that, I've kind of liked. So I don't know.
He was uncredited on The Flash, and we like The Flash.
We like The Flash. Yeah, he's one of the story guys on The Flash. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Everybody's got a bad day at the office. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.